Okay, this is a review with installation tips for the model DZ963F8 steam shower unit. It's been on the market for many years, so it's surprising there aren't more reviews online, because we installed an early version of the shower named the Ariel about 15 years ago in our former house, maybe 20 years ago. Now, importers and distributors have given it other names over the years, and it looks like Eago, E-A-G-O, and Platinum seem to be the prevalent ones today. The base model of this unit is going to be the DZ964F8, which is 35 inches by 35 inches, and it has a 3 kilowatt steam generator. This DZ9 model is 39 by 39 inches and has a 6 kilowatt steam generator. So if you have the extra space, this is the model that you'll want over the smaller one with its half power steam unit. The next larger model is the 47 inch by 47 that comes with 2 seats. So two people can get steamy, but you could fit 2 people in this shower if they like each other. Anyway, in this current iteration, it's a bit upscale from the one we had from yesteryear. It has a wood floor insert and a wood ceiling cap, and removable wood and chrome bench instead of the permanent molded seat that the old one had. You can see the seat right there. We bought this from Airpuria.com, and I recommend them for their excellent customer service. Now, it's meant to be a corner unit, but it's entirely freestanding. It's not anchored to the wall or to the floor, so it could be installed in any place where you can bring the water and electricity and rough in a drain to it. Since it's freestanding on leveling feet, it can sit right on top of your existing floor and tiling. Its dimensions are going to hide any of the rough-in plumbing and electrical connections behind it. And the wall behind it could even be left unfinished, so long as you have a finished part. The unfinished part would be, inside of the 39 inch by 39 inch by 85 inch height that it covers. Okay, now because it's a 30 amp 240 volt circuit with a 6 kilowatt generator, it just generates steam very fast, and the steam comes out right through this bottom corner unit. So, I mean, if you're seated, you're not going to want your leg right next to that. It will get uncomfortably hot if you're next to it. The ceiling has bright lights and mood lights that can change colors if you like that kind of gimmickry. You have the choice of having the water come out of the overhead shower, which is a waterfall, and you have a wand, and there's also these jets for your back if you were to be seated in the unit. And there's 3 controls that you see right here. The top control is the direction of where you want the water to come out. Either the wand, the overhead, and the jets. These were not labeled. I recommend labeling them because otherwise it's going to be easy to forget what this is. This is purely a volume control. You're saying whether you want to have a little bit of pressure or a lot of pressure, independent of the temperature. This is your temperature control, and this thing is very good at holding the same temperature no matter how much volume of water you have. So it's very nice. If you want to economize, turn off the water and suds up or something like that, you can turn this off entirely, and when you turn it back on, you will immediately be exactly where you want it to be and temperature-wise. Another nice thing, the temperature control has a scald prevention tab on it. So you go all the way from cold to all the way to hot, but it will not burn you, but it's nice and very hot. And another nice feature about it is you can press the safety release and it cheats the system. You can go all the way to pure hot, so it's not a mix of hot and cold. So your hot water can get to the tap very, very quickly. And then once it's up to temperature, it has that safety stop that will keep it from being scalding hot and just go from hot to cold. And it's very nice with holding increments of temperature. You can just back off the heat just a little bit or bring it up a little bit, and it will make that temperature difference and hold it there. So the water mixing unit is really nice on this. The fit and finish was okay. The installation instructions vary depending upon how they decide to pre-assemble the unit. Nowadays, like with this one, the base came pre-assembled. The back panel was all pre-plumbed, all the instrumentation was built into it, and it was completely pre-assembled, and so was the top assembly. It was all pre-assembled. So the way this one came together is you'd place the base to get down there. You'd put up those privacy panels in the back, the smoked ones there. You put the control panel in, And then you started putting the framing around, and eventually you put on the side glass panels, the top, and then finally the two front doors, which are very, very heavy. So if you were to move this unit around, you would lift those doors out first to make it light enough that you could move the unit. And you will have to move it, because to do some of the screws and some of the water connections and electrical connection, you're going to have it pulled out from the wall while you're working on it. And then before you hang up the doors at the very end, you're going to push it back into position. Now the floor drain is flexible, and the drain part, I'll show you where it is in a second here. The electrical connection and the water hookup are behind the unit around here in the back, but you could have the electrical come in anywhere on the walls at any height, and then the existing wire that came with it to hook it up is long enough to reach wherever your electrical box is. And you're going to supply the flexible half-inch water cables yourself, so you just get the ones that are appropriate length to wherever your water rough-in is. The floor drain is a permanent cup with a flexible line that goes to your roughed-in drain, and because the cup is down low, you're not going to be able to fit that hose into your drain if it's right where the cup is, which is right here. So you're going to have to put your rough-in somewhere to the side, one place or another, really anywhere in the front, except for right here. In fact, you may even be able to put it behind the unit way in the corner, but you're absolutely not going to be able to put it where the actual drain is here. You're going to have your rough-in somewhere else. The drain has a lint filter and sediment basket. I think it's to keep the flexible line from being fouled or anything like that, but it does mean that you have to clean it out once in a while. And if you do have the wood floor down, it means you've got to take the wood piece out. But the wood piece is not easy to take out when you have the doors and such on. If you pull this forward a bit, you can get that back unit out by itself, and you will have to lift that once in a while to clean out the drain. So it's not completely maintenance free. Now, maintenance-wise, all of your works from your computer, control panel, steam unit, everything is mounted to behind this back panel. And this panel is secured with 6 sheet metal screws. So, you know, if you're going to do any maintenance on this unit, you shouldn't have to pull the unit back out. However, I got to tell you, the sheet metal screws they put in here were really soft and poor quality, easy to strip them. I would recommend getting your own sheet metal screws and putting them in, because if you strip these things, it's really hard to drill them out or use a counter sink drill bit or something like that, a reverse drill bit, to try to back them out and do it right. In general, there were a couple of installation parts that weren't needed because they've changed the installation or the pre-installation over the years. But it's kind of self-explanatory and intuitive, putting the framing on. And then the last piece you're going to put on is this top piece, which maybe I can try to show you here. So this top cap piece over here is going to be the final unit you're going to put on. And in general, I'm very happy with this steam unit. I like the shower head, both of them. I like the water temperature control, as I said. The steam is very fast. You can turn on the steam and the whole thing is going to be ready to use and hot in about 5 minutes. So, and hasn't caused any problems. We've had it now for almost a year. The wood is not going to be not going to hold up to being wet constantly. So I would dry it off after any shower. You could even remove it entirely and just use the shower without the wood insert, maybe for the summer or something like that. But other than that, it's been a great unit. And what follows is just a couple of random incoherent installation notes, and that's all I have for the steam unit. I hope this has helped inform you as to whether you want to purchase it or not. I recommend it, with some caveats. It's not perfect, but it's a very nice unit, and I hope this has helped you. Well, the shipper got the steam shower here after a circuitous route, and then I had it sitting out here for a few days because it was 20 degrees, a little cold to be working on it. But it arrived. It's shrink wrapped on a pallet in 4 boxes. 2 of the boxes have been crated, and then the whole thing has been got an armature screwing it to the pallet. So let me get this unpacked before it rains tomorrow and get it into the garage. And once it's disassembled, we'll take a look at what's inside. The final box has revealed the base assembly, the ceiling assembly with its woody pieces, and the instruction manual. So this is probably where we're going to start. The floor pan is surprisingly thin. Embedded into it with fiberglass and epoxy, you have a metal armature that goes around the exterior and runs in an H shape in the middle, and then you have about 5 or 6 leveling feet. You have a universal drain that goes like it'll nest into maybe a 2-inch pipe with a flexible line, and that should make an easy installation. And then you've got this pebbled alloy fascia, which is a bit of a chrome finish, silvery, and you have these plastic tabs attaching that to the metal frame. So it's kind of a lightweight affair. Now, nested into it are some wood pieces. They might help distribute the weight, but other than that, it's looking a little flimsy. But we'll see how it acts when we put it together. I've got to say, the surface is very nice. It's got a nice, hard, glossy surface. Should be very easy to clean. There's kind of a half-hearted caulking job there in the corner. But in general, this looks pretty nice. And it has leveling feet that look like they would go down. I'll have to see how I lay out the bathroom. Let's go in there and take a look. If you saw my demolition video, there used to be a Kohler shower in here that was 37 inches on the sides, and then it had a very space-saving angular design. It was built into the wall, so we had to cut out the wall, and I was able to remove it without damage and pass it along to a grateful recipient. This one's going to be freestanding and standing on top. I took the liberty of cutting some 3/4 plywood to fill in the area where the tile was. Now I have the choice of cutting out the tile and nesting this in to the tile, or sitting it on top of the tile. In fact, with those leveling feet, I may be able to just take that plywood out entirely and have it sit level by by running out the leveling feet in the back. Going to have to decide. There's a floor drain down there that's 2 inches. That's an exterior wall to the garage, is why it's insulated. I'm going to have to put new drywall here to close this all in now that this built-in shower is out. There's the hot and the cold. It went to a water mixer. I'm going to cut these pipes at some point here and put in connectors. The pipes also lead upstairs. This was a great opportunity to insulate the cold and the hot water pipe and label them. So I've done that in the wall. And this is where it's going to go. Here's a new wrinkle on the name alphabet soup. The word Eago, E-A-G-O, has been blotted out on the manual, and now it's being called Ido, or maybe Asdo. Who knows? Interesting. There you go, another name change. We have a problem right away. This drain collector cup protrudes down lower than the feet. So unless you have these feet all the way jacked out, so you have this thing sitting awkwardly off the floor, you're going to see that it protrudes, even at this depth, it's protruding by about a 1/4 inch, half an inch. So I'm going to have to drill a hole in the floor to accommodate this. Also, the existing drain is right here, and this has a flex line going to the drain, so I have to relocate that drain somewhere to the front, maybe off to the right side of the unit, so it has a way to go into the drain with this flex hose. So there's some more work to do. Got to accommodate for that. I can't believe they didn't make this thing so this doesn't protrude, so I'm going to have to allow for this. This shower area already had a rough cutout with a 2-inch pipe right here. But this is exactly where that protrusion is, so I think I'm going to leave this big hole, put this thin metal plate up against the floor sheathing on the other side so it can protrude down into this area. by 3/4 of an inch. I had taken the time to cut out a hole to accommodate the drain, but now it looks like I need to move the drain. According to that, where that's placed on the steam shower, it looks like it should be to the forward and maybe a little bit more to the right. We'll give it a place to land. So let's do that, and then we'll have a nice place to put this pipe. I'm going to drill right through the floor right here and put my 2-inch pipe here for the drain. Before you start building your shower, you have to take care of the preliminaries of preparing the area. So that means that you're going to have to bring in the 220 volts, rough it in with 10 gauge wire, put in a double pole GFCI breaker. The common knowledge is that you don't need a GFCI breaker for steam showers if it's hardwired, but it specifies that in this manual that it should be GFCI. And so since there's no rule that you can't have GFCI, it sounds like you better follow the manufacturer's instructions. So we will be putting in a double pole GFCI breaker. We have to prepare the floor. If you saw, that cup for the drain extended lower than the floor, if you have the adjusters all the way set so it'll hug the floor. So what you have to do is create some allowance for it. I ascertained that the cup for the drain is going to be right here, and this is where I had originally had the plumbing. I didn't have much space to move it, but I was able to move it out of the way. So that's where the drain is going to be. This is where the cup is going to be. If it gets pulled out from the wall, I created enough of a space to accommodate pulling it out, getting it out and then over. There's support feet on the outside, including in a semicircle here, and there's a support foot that goes here, so I created a space for it. And whichever way it gets slid out, it'll continue to be supported, because this is going to be a very heavy shower once everything is built onto it. So the original shower that was here was a Kohler Sterling model 2200A from 2003. It extended out 38 inches. And then it had a steeply angled front that was a space saver. So these are only 17 or 18 inches on the side. This new one extends 39 inches instead of 38, which is why I had to cut a little more tile out. Also, to get the shower out, I had to cut a little bit beyond it, the flange, because this shower was built into the wall. There was no wall board here. And it was built into the floor with the tiles butting up against it. So now that we've finished the drywall, we're going to have to finish it and paint it. And the floor now is ready to accept the shower. So we're almost ready to start step one, which is leveling the base. You're also going to have to rough in your plumbing. See if I can get the camera up to it. This had a water mixer. What you're going to have to do is cut your pipe after the water shut off and put on connectors to attach hoses. Turns out the hoses don't come with this unit. There was a pair of 60-inch hoses in the back, but they're going to different parts of the shower. I'm thinking maybe 36 or 48-inch hoses so you have some room to play around. And then to connect them, there's a couple of things you can do. Hold on a second, I'll show if I can focus on this. Here, I'll shut this off for a second. The easiest way to connect it, if you have existing copper pipe or if you're bringing in new copper pipe, is to use a couple of 1/2-inch sweat to 1/2-inch threaded adapters. Then you can screw your hoses directly onto it. What I opted to do is buy 2 valve connectors, because it makes it really convenient to turn off valves when you're at the hose. It's sort of like what you have at a washing machine setup. These are made by Brasscraft. They're a little hard to find because I stopped making them, but I think they've started again, but supplies are kind of low. This was from a Supply House, which is a plumbing supply company. And these have the 1/2-inch female sweat on one side, and they have a 1/2-inch threaded MIP on the other side with a valve that you can turn with a flathead screwdriver. So these, in one stop, in one move, instead of having a separate valve and an adapter, you can just put this in onto your copper pipe, braze it in, and you're done. Now for the hoses, There's plenty of places that will sell you a pair. And what you're going to want is 1/2 inch to 1/2 inch. Don't get the 1/2 inch to 3/8 like for a lot of sinks and stuff. And I was thinking maybe the 48 inch pair might be what you're looking for. I think 60 inch like what they have inside the shower is a little bit of an overkill. I have to get one replacement for the one in the shower because it came very kinked and damaged, and when I unkinked it, the cable looks damaged. I don't really trust it. So I'll get one more cable, and once we finish up here in the bathroom, I think we're going to be ready to start with the first step of actually leveling this unit.